Hi guys, welcome back to another gentle declutter here on the channel. Welcome. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and this year I've been slowly and gently decluttering my makeup collection. I'm beyond the point in my beauty content creating journey where I'm retaining things for comparison purposes and for video specific purposes like full face of elf, etc., and just wanting to get my collection down to the makeup that I love and want to use and enjoy moving forward. So if you are new to my channel, I have a lot of these videos. They're all in my playlist, which I will link below. The playlist is all about my collection, so collection videos, declutter videos, and things like that. So with all of that said, these are all of my powder blushes, and we're going to be going through them today. I have no idea if I'm going to be keeping everything, decluttering a lot. I really have no idea going into this video because it's not about getting rid of things for the sake of getting rid of things. It's about making room in my collection to enjoy the things that work for me and my skin type and my skin tone. So let's go ahead and get into it. I think this is going to be a long one. All right, here we are. I'm honestly not entirely sure how to go about this, other than I think it would be most efficient to pull like blushes in together, or at least in my mind how they go together or are similar. I think I'm gonna start with any version of coral. I think that would be the easiest, and then we'll go from there. Alrighty, so here we are with all of the blushes in my collection that I would consider to be in the coral family, and we're just going to kind of swatch things out and see where things fall. I think we'll start with these 4 here that are more of a red coral and go from there. This is Laura Mercier Color Infusion in the shade Grapefruit, a beautiful red blush. And I have been in such a mood lately for a red blush, specifically a red cream blush, but I do have several here obviously that would suffice. Next we have Benefit Cosmetics, I forget what they call these, something Wonder Blush, and this is the shade Krista. I bought this one because it was the most unique and the shade that I felt like was going to add the most versatility to my personal blush collection, and it certainly does that, and yet I don't wear it. And to be fair, I don't wear the Laura Mercier one much either, so I don't know if that's just because clearly I have too many blush options or if it's just not a shade that I'm really going to use. This is NARS Orgasm X blush. I definitely prefer this to the original Orgasm shade because it just shows up better. It has more base pigment to it than the regular one. Plus it has less sparkle. It's not nearly as goldy, glittery, etc. So those are those 3. I don't think I'm going to get rid of any of these, but oh, I forgot. Let's also swatch this. This is L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Blush in the shade Fearless Coral. This was the one of these. This was, I don't know that I would call this an impulse purchase, but this was the one of these that I was most interested in trying from this new line of blushes. I love the L'Oreal Infallible line of products, the bronzer, the powder foundation, but here are all of my red corals. If I was going to let go of one, I honestly don't know. Probably the L'Oreal is what I would let go of because it's very similar to Benefit Krista, but I really have not given this a fair shake yet, to be honest. Like I said, I just have too many options, and so I do want to keep this one for now, and that means I'm keeping all of them for now. I might also be tempted to let go of this one, but I do like the glowy factor that this one offers, and also it's currently in my deck of panning for the Joker card. So we're keeping these 4, and I feel fine with that. So there's part of me that's been tempted to let go of the Laura Mercier, but it's so expensive. I bought it myself, and I really think it could be a case of I just need to use it more in order to connect with it. So I'm not going to be hasty and let that one go. We're just going to keep them all. Kind of in a similar vein is this one from Nabla. This was my first of my 2 Nabla blushes that I own. This is the Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish Glow Powder in the shade Lola. Beautiful sort of watermelon coral shade. And this is my favorite glowy blush formula. It just applies very smooth and it's just absolutely stunning. So I am definitely keeping that one. Then we have Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush. This is the shade Bold Heart. Another beautiful shade. This is more of a satin. It doesn't have a ton of a glow to it, but just enough, I think, you know, that it would make the skin look smooth and, you know, not enhance texture as sometimes baked blushes can do. That's a lot of blush that looks relatively the same, but blush lasts a long time, and I'm not ready to part with any of them yet, especially not just for the sake of parting with them. So I think those are all of my more reddish corals. So I'll give you one more look at those before I wipe them off, and we go more into the pink coral side of things. Some of these may or may not end up actually falling into this coral category, but I think, you know, we're close here. Let's start with the oldest one. This is my Physicians Formula Butter Blush in the shade Vintage Rouge. This is old, like at least 6 years old. I've had it in my project pan all year with very little success. I wanted to hit pan on this, and I just don't think it performs the way that it used to. It's sentimental to me, and that's part of why I think I've hung on to it. But now I'm at a point in my life where I'm okay with putting certain little things in what I would call my archives, which is products I've had to declutter due to age, but I'm not ready to part with completely because they're special or something like that. So I am going to officially declutter this. The formula is just not the same. It's not performing. I'm not reaching for it. It's going to go in the archives until which point I feel like I might be able to let it go. One that I think might be similar is this one from Sephora. It's their colorful blush in the shimmer formula in the shade 16 Heated. I did receive this in PR in 2023. And I like it, but I have not used it much. I do feel like it is quite similar to the Butter Blush, and it looks like I'm right. Like, those look quite similar to me. So I feel good about my decision to let go of the Butter Blush because I can keep this one and know that I have a dupe. This one, I kind of put in coral because I don't know where else to put it. It does have bits of a cooler tone pink kind of swirled through here, but I felt like this was the best category to put this one in, and it kind of falls in this range, I think, as well. So this is Hourglass Sublime Flush, which is definitely pinky, but I think it still kind of falls in this category, but we'll find out in a second. This is the shade Ravishing Rose from Revlon. It's just in their powder blush formula. And I love this blush. To me, this is what NARS Orgasm always should have been. If I had a single of the original NARS Orgasm, I would get rid of it and keep this one, because while it does have a nice sort of golden glow to it, it is not chunky, it is not glittery, and it applies absolutely beautifully. So I do love that blush. This is Charlotte Tilbury's Cheek to Chic in Love is the Drug. I love this and dislike it at the same time. This is super gold sheen kind of thing, and the color itself barely shows up. When you mix them, you do get a beautiful color, but you also get an extremely strong golden shift. And in order to build it up for it to really show on my skin, I feel like I have to really build it up. But at the same time, I don't know that I'm ready to get rid of it. It is my newest Charlotte Tilbury blush. Not that it's new. I believe I bought this in 2023, but I'm just not ready to get rid of it. I think, you know, again, this might be a case of I just have so many blushes, but I just really need to connect with some of these blushes in order to find use for them in my collection. So I am going to be keeping all three of these. One last look at these, and then we're going to move into a few cooler tone blushes, I think. Right. These are all the ones I would consider more cool tone, more mauve-y in my collection. Well, this is my favorite. As you can well tell, I have massive pan in here. I am panning this year, but it'll be an immediate repurchase. I don't know if I'll buy the full size or another mini. I've had this one for probably close on 6 years now. This is Hourglass Mood Exposure, and I love it because on my skin tone, even though it is more cooler tone, more mauve-y, it does turn warm on my cheeks and it looks more nude. And it's kind of my perfect nude, if I'm being honest. So obviously there's no chance I'm getting rid of this. Next, we have this one from Ciate London. This was a gift from my girl Angela. She had hoped maybe it would be a dupe for Mood Exposure so that when I use it up, I didn't have to buy a new one. But this is the Marbled Light Blush in the shade Halo. This is not really a dupe for Mood Exposure, but it is pretty close, pretty close. And, you know, maybe after I use it Mood Exposure, or maybe I wear them side by side, and I'll be able to see that there's not as much difference as I think there is. But I do love this blush. It is a beautiful formula, very smooth, very Hourglass-like. So regardless of if it's a dupe for Mood Exposure, it is staying in my collection for sure. Probably the coolest and the lightest of all of these blush are another Revlon powder blush in the shade Rosy Rendezvous. I believe Sabrina also really loves this shade. I just wanted something really light and really cool tone to add to my collection. I like this formula from Revlon very much. This one has no sheen, no sparkle, no luminosity, none of that. It's just a matte blush. But as you can see, it definitely comes off cool tone. And I like having a blush like this in my collection, so I'm gonna keep it. Then I have this one from M Cosmetics. This is their Heaven's Glow blush in the shade Rococo. This is a really nice blush. I just don't use it, and I don't know why, other than, you know, as you can see, it is quite dark. But I wonder too if maybe I could try this as a bronzer or contour, and maybe even layer it up over a cream bronzer just for a different look. So I might put this one in my bronzer drawer or pull it in for 10 uses on Project 10 Uses or something like that, just so I could get a little bit of a better idea of this product and how I would like to use it. I mean, I've had this for well over a year, if not closer to 2 years, and I've barely used it. But hopefully with you know, reorganizing my drawer and things like that. Maybe even putting things in color order versus like by brand. I don't know. I don't know what the solution is other than I need to get more use on this one before I make any decisions. This is another one of the Essence Pure Nude Baked Blushes, and this is in the shade Goldie Cassis, and it reminds me a lot of the Revlon, except for it has a sheen to it and it's ever so slightly warmer. So could I get rid of the Revlon one? I think I would probably reach for Goldie Cassis over this Revlon one. I'm gonna put this in the maybe and think about it while we work on the rest here. So I'm gonna put this one off to the side, but I'm definitely keeping this one. I love this formula from Essence. This, I don't really know what category to put this in. This is a Butter Glow pressed powder in the shade Natural Glow. And basically this is an all over face color, and it's not like anything else that I have. It's kind of nude. I might swatch this one actually against some of my other nude blushes. So I'm gonna put that over there for now. And then lastly, this is the MAC Sheer Tone blush in the shade Blush Baby. You hear Oliver, our Goldie, he's in the room with me and he's snoring like a champ. This is the least cool of these. I don't know, I think I might put this one with my pinks, and we'll swatch this against the other pinks just to make sure. Here are my cooler tone blushes. I've just decided I need to make room in my collection, and I am going to go ahead and let go of this one. I don't see myself reaching for this one over Goldie Cassis from Essence, so I'm gonna let that one go. Okay, so here are all the blushes in my collection that I would consider to be pink. But let's start with our brighter pinks over here. This here is Hourglass Diffused Heat, and I've had this one for a long time, and for whatever reason, never make use of it, but I love it. So again, I think it's just a case of having, you know, decision fatigue and too much in my drawer to properly organize and things like that, because I think this is one of the most beautiful pink blushes I own. So I am definitely keeping that one. This is a formula that I really adore. And then we have this one. This is from Seraphine Botanicals. My daughter recently gave this to me from her Ipsy bag. It is the Periwinkle Pop Soft Sculpting Blush in the shade Seashell. And kind of what I said in a recent Get Ready With Me that I did, is that it reminds me a lot of like what a more pigmented version of the Dior Rosy Glow blush would look like. It's, you know, more of that cool tone pink, and it has a lot of glow to it, but at the same time, it has a lot of pigment to it as well, which is what makes me want to keep that one. This is Milani's Baked Blush in the shade Dulce Pink. This is very similar to a NARS Orgasm kind of shade. I would say it's a better formula in my opinion, at least insofar as I've had experience with NARS blushes. I know they recently redid their powder blush formula, and so it may be better now than it, you know, my experience in the past. I don't know, this one, it's a little bit glittery. So, but again, I haven't had enough time with this one to really make any formal decisions, I don't feel like, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. And then the last of our brighter pinks, this is MAC's Mineralized Blush in Happy Go Rosy. I did receive this one in PR. I really like this formula. It is very nice. It's kind of sheer, so it's very buildable and beautiful. And that one is like verging on more of a fuchsia pink. So it definitely is different than the other brighter pinks in my collection, and I'm keeping them all for now. So again, here are the swatches of my bright pink blush. This is the Believe Beauty Major Monochrome Matte and Shimmer Blush Duo in the shade Risky Business. These are very nice blushes. You will see others in other categories in this blush declutter. So this is what they look like separately. You can definitely use each of them separately. I tend not to. Sometimes I'll put the matte part down first and then go over it with the shimmer, but more often than not, I'm just mixing them together. I like this one because it has just a touch of a peachiness to it, maybe even a little bit of a duochrome, and so it's really pretty. This is the newest of these Believe Beauty blushes in my collection, and I do really enjoy it. Here's another Milani Baked Blush. This is in the shade Petal Primavera, and it's kind of pinky peachy. Is it similar? Maybe even a little bit more similar to the Believe Beauty blush. But I like this one, and I also want to swatch it against these more Dusty Rose options, so I'm gonna leave that there. So here again is MAC Blush Baby. Let's swatch that one. Definitely looks cooler toned next to the Milani and the Believe Beauty, but again, not entirely cool tone. This little hot mess here is from my Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked palette. It was the first year they did the Unlocked palette. I did depot this from that palette, as well as like depotted the other shades and kind of mixed some things together, and just to make the palette work for me. But this one I kept intact as is. I just pressed it into an older ambient lighting powder compact, I guess. And that is what it looks like there. It's called Nude Flush, in case I forgot to say that. I just say it is very similar to MAC Blush Baby, except for I know this has a slight luminosity and Blush Baby does not. I can't in any right mind pass this along to anyone because it is so old. So I'm going to keep it and attempt to use it up at some point. Another Nabla Blush Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish Glow Powder. This is my favorite shade. This is the shade Independence. It is the most beautiful, glowy, sort of dusty rose blush, but you know, slightly warmer, which again is perfect for my skin tone. And the very last pink blush is another Revlon powder blush. This one is also luminous, and this is in the shade Apricot. That came off a lot cooler tone than I was expecting, honestly. I don't think it compares to any of the other pink blushes, so I'm going to keep it for now. But now, you know, having swatched this and having swatched it against these other blushes, I can make a note in my Mind Palace of Makeup, and in case you don't know what that is, that's the place where I store my thoughts and feelings and recollections of the products I have and what they look like. So now I can kind of update this in my Mind Palace of Makeup as almost more of a berry toned blush, which is actually kind of exciting because I really don't feel like I have other berry powder blushes. So here is one more look at our pink blushes from this section. This is kind of an interesting category because there's quite a spread. You know, there's like your neutral nude blushes. There's some peachy situation, more red and terracotta. This is my one blush duo, and I think I'll swatch this one first. This was from my daughter a couple Christmases ago. It's the Complex Culture Good Glow Blush Duo. The shades are Spiced Up and Be Content. This is a very beautiful and smooth shade. In fact, now seeing that first shade, I want to swatch that berry shade against it and see if there's any similarity. I feel like this one's more of a cool tone berry, however, whereas this is more of a warm berry. Yeah, definitely. Clinique Fig Pop, one of my favorite blushes, as well as one of my oldest blushes. I can already say with 100% certainty I'm not getting rid of this blush. I absolutely adore this formula and would 100% buy more shades. In fact, one shade I really am interested in is Nude Pop. Here we have Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. I do really enjoy this blush. It's one of my favorites for fall especially. I think we'll go with this one next. This is the Milani Baked Blush in Berry Amore, or Berry Amore. And that is a little bit similar to Pillow Talk, I guess, but just a little bit more red. Let me next swatch these other two Believe Beauty blushes. This is the shade Gallivanter, and it's a really nice nude blush. I really actually like it. That one's also a little bit similar to Pillow Talk. And then this one is Amore, and this is definitely a red blush. And one of my only blushes like this, I feel like. It's very, very pretty. It's kind of like a more pigmented version of Milani Berry Amore. This one is an Hourglass. This is honestly like a big regret for me. I saw this on, what is her name? Well, I don't watch her anymore and I can't remember, but regardless, I was influenced to purchase this. I don't know why I did, because the woman who recommended it has a much deeper skin tone than I, and yet I did, and I don't use it. It's quite dark, but look at it there. I mean, it looks so pretty. It looks so doable. I do think that I don't need this one, Amore. I think it is quite similar to At Night from Hourglass. So I'm gonna go ahead and let go of this one. I have to let go of some, like I just have to. And then I'm gonna go ahead, before we make any more decisions, and swatch Milani Baked Blush in the shade Luminoso. That is 100% a peach blush. I think we can take this out of the running. I think we're gonna keep this, because that is unlike the others. One of these things is not like the other. Okay, I'm gonna re-swatch these four alone on my arms, because I get mixed up once I get so many on my arm. So Clinique Fig Pop, I know I'm not getting rid of this one. Let's do Berry Amore, Pillow Talk. Those two are quite similar actually. And then lastly, Believe Beauty Gallivanter, which is really not the same. I feel like Berry Amore is the mixture of Pillow Talk and Gallivanter, so I'm going to go ahead and let this Milani one go. Much as I don't want to, this is a beautiful blush, I will say that, but it is so similar to Pillow Talk. But I am going to keep Pillow Talk and the Milani one here to the side, just to swatch against these nude ones over here in case there's any similarities. But I am going to keep Clinique Fig Pop, and I am for now going to keep Believe Beauty Gallivanter. All right, let's start with my favorite nude blush. This is Charlotte Tilbury's Sex on Fire, and it looks really odd in the pan and honestly does not swatch the best. But this is by far my favorite Charlotte Tilbury blush and my favorite sort of nude blush. The one that I think might be the closest to that one, however, is MAC Warm Soul. I don't know though. I mean, this is one, again, I got in PR last year and haven't really super connected with, but I did recently roll it into a project pan. And so I will be getting to know it better soon. But yeah, I mean, they're similar, but I would say that Charlotte Tilbury Sex on Fire is a little bit more cool toned thanks to that purple piece in the middle there. So good. I'm glad we don't have any duplicates there, because I don't think I could get rid of either one. And then we have this Physicians Formula product, which definitely looks like it could be similar. Yeah, it looks really similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, except for more glowy. And I really do like the Physicians Formula product, so I don't think I'm going to get rid of it anyways. And then just for shits and gigs, let's go ahead and swatch these two here and see if we made a good decision. I do think Pillow Talk and Warm Soul are similar, but again, not getting rid of either one. So again, we're saying goodbye to Milani Berry Amore and keeping the rest. So we are getting rid of 4 blush this round. Again, this is a gentle declutter, so I wasn't looking toward getting rid of a certain percentage or anything like that. And some of these, again, may end up decluttered later on because I get to know them better and find that they're not a good fit, or I have something else similar. I have a lot of powder blush in face palettes, so that will be another way that we can possibly declutter some of the singles that you've seen here today, is if I have them in palettes that I am keeping. So yay! I have slightly more wiggle room in my blush drawer, and I'm very happy about that. But what do you guys think of my little declutter here? Did you enjoy the video? Did you see any of your favorite blushes here today? Did you see any similarities that you were really surprised about? I have to admit, I was surprised that Berry Amore is very similar to Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you so much for hanging out through this series. If you did make it all the way through the video, leave me a sunshine emoji down in the comments. I hope you're having a great day or week so far, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days. And I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye.